Good morning. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt again with the American Orthodontic Society, and I want to go over a fact that I learned by a patient making a big mistake and not returning to the office for about 6 months. And a lot of times you have things like this happen, and if you understand where it was when they started and what effect the problem that the person didn't obey or just didn't care or whatever it was, see what it does. You cannot do this as an experiment on the person, but they do it themselves. And this happened to me back in 1971. This young man came in, and I'm going to get over here on this picture and see. He came in. Let me get my little, well, maybe I got it here. He came in with a closed bite. You could hardly see the guy's lower anterior teeth, and he said he wanted to get the braces on. He thought it would keep him from having to go into the Army, and I didn't agree with that. But anyway, we started straightening his teeth, and the only thing we put on his teeth and everything were just the little bands on the 6-year molar. On the 6-year molars, and on the 6 upper and 6 lower teeth, and the teeth were lapped over like this. Now, we put 2 little wires in there that we start off up here, and they would be going up, and you pull those down and put them on, and down on the bottom you put intruding arches, and we put those 2 little wires in this guy's mouth. And I think I saw him one time after that, and then he just flat disappeared. We sent letters trying to get a hold of him, and nothing ever turned up until the guy came in about 6 months after we had put this in the mouth, and these teeth were down like this. They had intruded to the point that he could not close his upper anterior teeth together to bite through a sandwich. And that's why he came back in the office. And this was in 1971. And I've lectured on this for years. And it's very few people have caught on. You put a double wire in there for an intrusion situation, and you can cut off about 2 or 3 months of treatment time if you put an intruding arch on both the lower and the upper. If the upper is down and you want it up, if the lower is up and you want it down, put them on both arches. And you can put these arches in day one. The time you start the guy's case. And if you don't want to, you're intruding these teeth and you're making these teeth should be going down. It's actually 4 times harder to intrude a tooth, or to take that tooth if you got a molar tooth right in here and you want to intrude it. It's 4 times harder than if you had another molar over here and you were pushing this one down by pushing this one up. It'll take this one to go down 4 times while this one went up 1 time. But in this particular case, you have somebody that is chewing on these teeth all the time and keeps that tooth in place. And that's why these class 2 attachments to the 6-year molars work out here, is because the occlusion is keeping that tooth in place while you pull them back into class 2. And this thing is very popular now. They put it on so many children, they're young people, and it works. It's simply because the occlusion keeps it down. It's the same thing with the intrusion of the teeth. All right, let me go on from there. Here are the two little wires. I mean, they're just small wires, and they have loops in them right here. And so the upper ones fit in the molars back here, and they would go up and come around and back down into the molar on the other side. We pulled them down and hooked them up to the teeth, and down on the bottom ones, we had the lower molars down here, and you take this, go around like that, come up and hook it in the molar on the bottom, and you raise this up, hooked it to the teeth, pull this down, hooked it to the teeth. I hope everybody that's messing around with orthodontics understands that. And I don't give a darn how old you are. You can be 50, 75, 80. I think I could go in 90 years old and they'd still open your bite if your bite was closed. It doesn't matter. This constant force in there will do it. I realize the bone on older people might be harder and take a little more time, but I didn't mind working on all ages of people, and we were able to do adults about in the same length of time that we did young people, stuff like that. All right, here are the two wires that we used, and I'm going to go on to the next thing. Now this is the set of bottles. That's when they came in. I could hardly see his bottom teeth underneath here. So we banded the 6-year molars back here, and we bracketed these 6 teeth right here in front, and we put an arch wire in there with a little kind of a loop on the thing. Actually it went the other direction, and you turn it up and then you come around like this, and this wire you pull it down and hook it to these teeth. And when you pull it down, you tighten this spring up right here on this side. Now normally, if he wasn't chewing on these teeth, it takes 4 times more force to intrude the same teeth. Now the cuspids don't intrude very much, but the laterals and the centrals all intrude up to you. And then you do this on the inside, and you're biting on the brackets a little bit on there, so that's pushing the lower teeth down too. Then we'll come on the side over here, and we put the lower intruding arch and pull it up, and it pulls this down. If you double up your treatment, in other words, you can put a regular arch wire in somebody's mouth, and then you can pull this one down on top of it and piggyback it. But you need a slot for this arch wire to fit into. But you can cut a couple or 3 months off of treatment time. You can take a deep bite case and have it flattened out by the time you get the teeth kind of lined up. So this is a very helpful thing, and it's just so many people just don't catch on to it. They come in with these wires that are like this, and they push down on the molars, and you know, they're trying to raise these teeth with something like that turned upside down and put it. It's nothing like as good as an intruding arch wire. All right, here's the guy came back in 6 months' time now. I didn't tell him to do this. He did it on his own. The cuspids hardly moved at all. But these teeth right here were down in this area right there. And when he came back in, one of the ladies came back to got me. I was with another patient and said, "You've got to come look at this case right here." Said he hadn't been in 6 months, and he can't even bite his front teeth together. These 4 teeth right here had moved from this point up to there. And the force that put these teeth up there and these teeth down here came from the molar teeth back here. And if you go one direction with the force, there'll be something somewhere going in the other direction. This went in the other direction, the molars would have tipped up, but let's go look at the molar teeth and see what happened to the molar teeth now. So we go back here, and here's the 6-year molar. The distal cusps were not touching on the 6-year molars. So the spring wire was in here, and we pulled it down here. It's just like putting a prize in there. So it took the molar and it tries to push it down. So pushing down on this made the molar go down in this direction and want to come up over here. At the same time, it was being extruded in the mouth, trying to come down to this area to make these teeth go up. But this molar did not hardly move, and neither did the lower one. And that's why this class 2 elastic deal, you hook up here and you pay big money for somebody that's they just hook a wire back here and go back out here, and you wear a class 2 elastic, and this molar will hardly move. And know that. It's a wonderful appliance for doing something. They're taking advantage of nature. Now this one on the bottom was down here somewhere. We pulled it up and it pulled these teeth down. This one went up, and the teeth back here hardly moved. Now this is an important, very important thing to know, but we couldn't put something like that on a person and tell them, I don't want to see you for 6 months or a year. If he'd have stayed a year, I guess the other teeth would open up like that. But thank goodness he came in, and we were able to catch that and figure it out. And this is something, I don't know who you are, wherever you are. I think this YouTube stuff is great. I mean, we can talk to people all over the world and show you what can be done if you will just study some of these videos. And people don't like to sit down and spend a lot of time with them, but if you want to learn it, you got to spend a little time with it. I spent thousands of dollars flying different places to listen to good speakers and to learn things that I've learned, and then nature just pulling something like this, and I was able to catch on to it and get the message and learn something. And I've used intruding arches for years, and we could do cases faster, deep bite cases. People sent me deep bite cases. People didn't think they could unlock them, but you can, and you can keep them enlarging the vertical here in the mouth back here by putting blocks back here, and you'll intrude this while you raise these right here, and you won't enlarge the vertical dimension at all on here. If you take somebody you want to give them more vertical dimension, just leave this open. These will go down, and it'll increase the vertical dimension of the face. Now realize, if you're just an individual looking through this, you don't understand why some of this stuff happens, but it happens. And if you're straightening teeth, if you don't understand, you need to get in and learn it and know why it happens. And it'll happen. I don't give a darn if you're my age and had a deep bite, and you banded it up and put this type of force on there, it will open your bite. I use a better intruding wire to do that. I don't want to fuss at people, but this is the upper arch we looking at. It's not a very good picture, and this is the lower arch. Now these molar teeth right here did the job. In other words, they are what put the force in. Now, to intrude these teeth up here, you have a force going down in this direction. Up here, this force is going up, and these teeth did not move hardly at all. And the reason is the guy chewed. He ate on those teeth. So you're using the chewing mechanism of the person. These masseter muscles, everything kept those teeth from coming down, but they were being pressed together over there. I know it's taken a little longer to go through this, and this is not for people thumbing through like a catalog. This is somebody that wants to learn orthodontics, then this is something you ought to really know. And I hope that people who are looking at this will take some time to thoroughly understand how do I open deep bite cases. We have so many deep bite cases nowadays. It's amazing. I'll bet you that 75 years ago or something, we had people gnawing bones and chewing and doing things the natural way that people came into the world. You wouldn't have these deep bites. You'd have somebody gnawing on some bone. I mean, you would have, I can't imagine an Eskimo woman chewing hides with a deep bite case. That's just, but we have that. And so you're going to be confronted with people coming in with their teeth lapping over, and they cannot chew like they should. They should be able to glide your teeth across like this, and if you've got deep bites, you have to chew more or less straight up and down. It's about 1/3 as efficient as grinding your teeth. So I'm not apologizing for taking some time on some of these videos. If you want to learn orthodontics and do it correctly, I will be happy to go to the last with you. And that's what you have to do here. You're not going to jump in here and put some kind of case that you can do this with several things, but there's no way as efficient as putting these intruding wires in the mouth. And we took that case and we came in, and this is the way it came back. And those teeth, you can see, have not moved hardly at all. And here's the 2 little wires that did it. And there's where the teeth were to start. And we put them down where they weren't even touching right there. And there's the cephalometric picture. And somewhere in here I had a... Okay, I'm going to have to... We're going to keep those cases there. I'm going to have to close out. Thank you for coming in and watching this, at least watching this, and I hope that it settles in and people all over the world. You can cut 2 or 3 months of time off if you start off right out of the bag with the intruding wires on these deep bite cases. Thank you again, and I'll say goodbye and stop this.